Welcome to today's episode, where we journey into the extraordinary story of creation, the beginning of everything. Join us as we explore how the world was formed in perfect order, from light and land to the stars and all living things, crowned by the creation of humanity. It's a tale of wonder, purpose, and divine artistry that continues to inspire. Stay tuned for insights and reflections on the beauty and significance of our beginnings. Please like our video, subscribe to our page, and turn on post notifications. Let's dive into the story that started it all. In the beginning, there was nothing. No stars, no land, and no life. Only darkness and emptiness. But then, with a powerful word, God created the world. He spoke, and light broke through the darkness. This is the story of how God made the heavens, the earth, and everything in between. A tale of wonder, beauty, and life. At the very beginning, there was nothing. No stars, no land, and no life. Only darkness filled the void. But in this emptiness, God had a plan. He wanted to create a beautiful world full of life and joy. Everything was ready for the beginning of a new creation. Then God spoke, "Let there be light." And suddenly, light shone brightly in the darkness. It was the first light, separating day from night. God saw that the light was good. He named the light day, and the darkness night. This was the first day of creation. On the second day, God said, "Let there be a space to separate the waters." So, He created the sky, which stretched above the earth. Below it were the waters. God called the space sky. The sky was blue and beautiful, a perfect home for the clouds. On the third day, God commanded, "Let the waters gather in one place, and let dry land appear." Immediately, the waters pulled back, and dry land emerged. God named the dry land earth, and the gathered waters seas. He looked at what He created and saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth plants and trees." The earth responded, producing all kinds of greenery, flowers, and trees. Each plant bore seeds, and the trees were full of fruit. God admired His creation, seeing that it was beautiful and good. On the fourth day, God created the sun to rule the day and the moon to light the night. He also made the stars to shine in the sky. God placed them in the sky to give light to the earth and to mark the seasons, days, and years. It was a stunning display of His power. On the fifth day, God spoke again, "Let the waters be filled with living creatures." Suddenly, fish of every kind began to swim in the seas. Great whales and tiny minnows splashed about joyfully. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply." God also said, "Let birds fly across the sky." With that command, birds filled the air. From colorful parrots to graceful eagles, each bird took to the sky. They chirped and sang, filling the world with music. God saw it all and smiled at the beauty. On the sixth day, God created the animals that would roam the earth. He made lions, elephants, sheep, and every kind of creature. The land was alive with movement and sounds. God looked at the animals and saw that it was good. Each creature had a special place in His creation. Then God said, "Let us make humans in our image, to be like us." So, God created humans, male and female. He named them Adam and Eve. He gave them a beautiful garden to live in, filled with everything they needed. They were the crown of his creation. Adam and Eve lived happily in the Garden of Eden. It was a paradise filled with flowers, trees, and animals. They walked with God, talked with Him, and enjoyed every moment. They had everything they could ever want. God blessed them and told them to take care of the garden. In the garden, there were two special trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God told Adam and Eve they could eat from any tree except the tree of knowledge. He warned them that eating from it would bring death. They listened and obeyed. God gave Adam and Eve the command to be fruitful and multiply. They were to fill the earth and care for it. They were the stewards of all creation. They tended to the garden and enjoyed a perfect life, living in harmony with God and nature. One day, God brought all the animals to Adam to see what he would name them. Adam thought carefully and named each creature. The lion, the elephant, the eagle, and every animal received a name. Adam felt proud, knowing he had a special role in God's creation. As time passed, Adam realized that he was alone. He had the animals, but he needed a companion. God saw that Adam needed help and decided to create a partner for him. God wanted Adam to have someone special to share life with. God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. While he slept, God took one of Adam's ribs and fashioned it into a woman. When Adam awoke, he saw Eve and said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." He was overjoyed to have a companion. God brought Adam and Eve together as husband and wife. They were to be one flesh, living in harmony and love. They worked together in the garden, caring for it and enjoying each other's company. God looked at them and saw that it was very good. Adam and Eve lived in perfect harmony with each other and with God. They enjoyed the beauty of creation, explored the garden, and took care of all the animals. They had a special bond with each other and with God, who walked with them in the cool of the day. One day, a cunning serpent entered the garden. It was more clever than any of the animals. The serpent approached Eve and asked her, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve replied, "No, we can eat from the trees, except for one." The serpent continued, "You won't die if you eat from that tree. God knows that your eyes will be opened, and you will be like Him, knowing good and evil." Eve looked at the tree, saw that the fruit was good for food, and felt tempted. Eve picked the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to Adam, who also ate. Immediately, their eyes were opened, and they realized they were naked. They felt ashamed and tried to cover themselves with fig leaves. This was the moment that changed everything. When God came to walk with them in the garden, Adam and Eve hid among the trees. They were afraid because they had disobeyed God. God called out, "Where are you?" Adam replied, "We were afraid and hid because we were naked." Their hearts were filled with fear and guilt. God asked Adam if he had eaten from the tree. Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent. God then explained the consequences of their actions. Adam would work hard for food, and Eve would experience pain in childbirth. Their perfect life in the garden was forever changed. As punishment for their disobedience, God banished Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. They had to leave the place of beauty and joy. God placed cherubim and a flaming sword at the entrance to guard the way back to the garden, ensuring they could not return. Adam and Eve faced the reality of life outside the garden. They had to work hard to survive. They began to cultivate the land, planting seeds and raising animals. Although it was difficult, they learned to support each other and found joy in their new life. After some time, Eve became pregnant, and gave birth to their first son, Cain. Adam and Eve were filled with joy as they welcomed their child into the world. They nurtured him and taught him about God and the world around them. Cain grew strong and healthy. Later, Eve had another son named Abel. Abel became a shepherd, caring for the sheep. Cain became a farmer, working the soil. Adam and Eve were proud of their boys. They taught them to honor God and to respect the earth that provided for them. As the boys grew, they learned to bring offerings to God. Cain brought fruits from the ground, and Abel brought the best of his flock. God looked favorably upon Abel's offering, but did not accept Cain's. This made Cain very angry and upset. He felt rejected. Cain's anger grew, and he felt jealous of Abel. God spoke to Cain, warning him, "Why are you angry? If you do what is right, you will be accepted." But Cain did not listen. Instead, his heart filled with bitterness, and he plotted against Abel. In a moment of rage, Cain took Abel out into the fields. There, in his anger, Cain harmed his brother. It was a tragic event that brought sorrow to Adam and Eve. When God asked Cain where Abel was, Cain replied, "Am I my brother's keeper?" God knew what had happened and said to Cain, "Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." As punishment, God banished Cain to wander the earth. However, God placed a mark on Cain, ensuring that no one would harm him. Cain left, filled with regret. After the tragedy, Adam and Eve had another son named Seth. Seth became a righteous man, and through him, God's promise of a faithful lineage continued. People began to call on the name of the Lord again, and hope began to rise in the hearts of humanity. As time went on, humanity multiplied on the earth. People began to fill the land, forming families and communities. They developed new skills, learned to build homes, and cultivated the land. But with this growth came challenges. Sin continued to spread, and many turned away from God. As generations passed, the world grew more wicked. People forgot about God and began to follow their own desires. They hurt one another and acted in ways that made God sad. The earth was filled with violence and corruption. God looked down and saw the great evil. God was deeply grieved by what he saw. He had created the world to be good, but now it was filled with pain and destruction. God decided to cleanse the earth and start anew. But he found one man who still followed him, Noah. God planned to save Noah and his family. God spoke to Noah, telling him to build an ark. He gave Noah specific instructions about the size and materials. Noah listened carefully and obeyed. While the world around him continued in wickedness, Noah remained faithful to God's command, determined to follow through. Noah began the hard work of building the ark. He gathered wood and materials, and day by day, the ark took shape. People around him mocked him for building a large boat in the middle of dry land. But Noah kept working, trusting God's plan. We've reached the end of this episode on the story of creation. Until we meet again in the next episode, please don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our page, and turn on post notifications. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you. Selah.